"Can you believe they call those things warships?" sneered Commander Theron, his pale eyes glinting with amusement as he pointed towards the battered human vessels docked at the Coalition spaceport. The alien officer's remark elicited a ripple of laughter from his subordinates, their sleek, technologically advanced ships gleaming under the station's artificial lights. Captain Lockie Davis stood a short distance away, his jaw tightening. His eyes flicked over his ship, the Resolute, its hull scarred from countless skirmishes. He had heard the taunts before, and each time they stung. But today something was different. Today, the mockery was cut short by the shrill blare of alarms. "Unidentified fleet approaching fast," blared the intercom. The words echoed by the urgent flurry of activity around the spaceport. Davis turned sharply, locking eyes with Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, his second-in-command. "Sarah, rally the crew. We need to be ready for anything." Mitchell nodded, her expression a mask of determination as she sprinted towards the ship. Davis could feel the tension in the air, a tangible thing that gripped his chest. The Resolute might not be pretty, but it had heart, and so did its crew. As the human crew scrambled to their stations, the alien officers continued their frantic preparations, their previous disdain replaced by palpable anxiety. Davis approached Commander Theron, who was barking orders, his earlier arrogance now overshadowed by a grim focus. "Commander Theron," Davis began, his voice steady, "we need to coordinate our defenses. The Resolute and her sister ships can provide critical support." Theron glanced at him, skepticism etched into his features. "Your ships are outdated, Captain. This is a fight for real warships." "Outdated, maybe, but we're fighters," Davis retorted. "And right now, we need every fighter we can get." A moment of silence stretched between them, the background noise of the bustling spaceport a constant reminder of the impending threat. Finally, Theron gave a curt nod. "Very well. Just don't get in our way." Davis wasted no time. He returned to his ship, the familiar hum of the engines a comforting presence. "All hands, prepare for battle," he ordered, his voice echoing through the corridors. The Resolute shuddered as it powered up, joining the defensive formation. Outside, the blackness of space was punctuated by the distant glint of the approaching enemy fleet. The human ships, though outnumbered and outgunned, formed a tight, disciplined line. "Sensors are picking up multiple bogies, closing fast," reported Mitchell, her fingers dancing over the controls. Davis nodded, eyes fixed on the viewscreen. "Steady, everyone. Remember your training. This is what we've prepared for." The enemy ships burst into view, sleek and menacing, their weapons arrays glowing ominously. As they opened fire, the spaceport erupted into chaos. Alien ships darted erratically, but the human vessels held their ground, returning fire with practiced precision. "Focus fire on the lead ship," Davis commanded. "Sarah, divert power to the forward shields." The Resolute rocked under the impact of enemy fire, but Davis remained calm, issuing orders with unflinching resolve. The human ships, once objects of ridicule, moved with a coordinated grace that belied their rugged exteriors. "Captain, they're breaking formation." Mitchell's voice was tense but steady. "Now's our chance," Davis replied. "All ships, advance and engage." The Resolute surged forward, leading the charge. Davis's heart pounded as the battle raged around them, every maneuver, every shot a testament to their resolve. Amid the chaos, a new respect began to flicker in Theron's eyes as he watched the humans fight with a tenacity he hadn't expected. In the heat of battle, the lines between alien and human blurred. They were not just defending a spaceport. They were proving their worth, their resilience. And as the first enemy ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, Davis knew this was only the beginning. "They're here," the intercom crackled, piercing the tense silence that had settled over the spaceport. Outside, the void of space filled with the menacing silhouette of the enemy fleet. Captain Lockie Davis stood on the bridge of the Resolute, his gaze fixed on the tactical display. The enemy ships moved with ominous precision, their intentions clear. Around him, His crew moved with practiced efficiency, their determination evident in every motion. "All stations, report," Davis ordered, his voice cutting through the tension. "Shields at full capacity," Mitchell responded, her hands flying over the console. "Weapons systems primed and ready." "Good. Keep your eyes sharp," Davis replied, glancing at the view screen where the enemy fleet loomed ever closer. "We won't get a second chance at this." The spaceport's defensive grid activated, its energy barriers flaring to life as enemy fire rained down. Alien ships, sleek and agile, darted through the chaos, their movements erratic. In stark contrast, the human vessels, though rugged, held their formation with unwavering discipline. "Captain, incoming fighters on R6, a crew member called out, his voice strained. "Lieutenant Mitchell, divert power to the aft shields and prepare for evasive maneuvers," Davis commanded. "Roger that," Mitchell replied, her eyes narrowing as she executed the orders. The Resolute banked sharply, narrowly avoiding a barrage of enemy fire. On the adjacent view screen, Commander Theron's flagship struggled to maintain cohesion, the alien officers clearly overwhelmed. Davis watched as Theron barked frantic orders, frustration etched on his features. Despite their superior technology, they lacked the unity and resilience of the human crews. "Captain, the Sentry is taking heavy fire," Mitchell reported, referring to one of the other human ships. "They won't hold out much longer." Davis clenched his jaw. "All units, form up on the Sentry. Provide covering fire and drive those fighters back." The Resolute and her sister ships surged forward, their weapons blazing. Davis's heart pounded as they closed the gap, every shot and maneuver a testament to their resolve. The enemy fleet, caught off guard by the humans' coordinated response, began to falter. "Direct hit on the lead enemy cruiser," a crew member exclaimed, triumph in his voice. Davis allowed himself a brief, grim smile. "Keep up the pressure. We need to break their lines." As the battle raged on, the spaceport itself became a war zone. Explosions rocked the station, sending debris tumbling through the void. Davis's eyes flicked to the tactical display, noting the thinning enemy ranks. "Captain, enemy reinforcements incoming," Mitchell warned, her voice laced with urgency. "Hold the line," Davis commanded. "We can't let them reach the station." The Resolute shuddered under the impact of enemy fire, but Davis remained resolute. Every second they held the enemy at bay was a second closer to victory. "Incoming transmission from Commander Theron," Mitchell announced. Theron's face appeared on the view screen, his earlier disdain replaced by a grudging respect. "Captain Davis, your strategy. It's working. We owe you our thanks." Davis nodded, the acknowledgement a small but significant victory. "We're all in this together, Commander. Now let's finish this fight." The battle's climax approached as the combined human and alien forces pressed their advantage. The enemy fleet, once so confident, now found itself outmaneuvered and outgunned. "Enemy flagship in retreat," a crew member shouted, jubilation spreading through the bridge. "Press the attack," Davis ordered, determination burning in his eyes. "Let's send them packing." As the last of the enemy ships fled, a cheer erupted among the human crews. Davis allowed himself a moment of relief, knowing the battle was won but the war far from over. The Resolute and her crew had proven their mettle, their unity and resilience shining through in the face of overwhelming odds. They had turned the tide, and now, even Commander Theron could see the strength that lay within the heart of humanity. The spaceport's alarms faded, replaced by the hum of repairs and the murmur of renewed hope. The Resolute might be battered, but she stood victorious, a testament to the power of human determination. And as Davis looked out at the stars, he knew this was just the beginning. "Captain, we've got a breach in the hull," Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell shouted over the cacophony of alarms and the hiss of escaping atmosphere. The Resolute groaned under the strain, shuddering as enemy fire continued to rain down. Captain Lockie Davis clung to his command chair, the bridge illuminated by flashing red lights. "Seal it off and reroute power to the forward shields," he barked, his voice cutting through the chaos. The Resolute was battered but far from broken. "Emergency teams are on it," Mitchell replied, her fingers dancing over the controls. The ship lurched as the enemy fleet intensified its assault, their tactics growing more desperate. The enemy's relentless attack had pushed the coalition to the brink. Alien ships darted through the void, their sleek forms weaving through the human defensive line. Davis knew they couldn't hold out much longer without a decisive move. "Commander Theron on the line, Captain," Mitchell said, her tone strained. Davis nodded, and the alien officer's visage flickered onto the viewscreen. "Captain Davis, we can't sustain this much longer. Our defenses are failing," Theron admitted, his earlier arrogance completely eroded by the dire situation. "We need to draw them into the asteroid field," Davis said, his mind racing. "It's our only chance to level the playing field." Theron's eyes widened, but he nodded. "Agreed. We'll follow your lead." Davis turned to his crew, determination burning in his eyes. "All ships, fall back to the asteroid field. Use the terrain to our advantage. This is where we make our stand." The Resolute and her sister ships pivoted, engines flaring as they retreated towards the dense cluster of asteroids. Enemy vessels pursued, their weapons lighting up the darkness of space. The human ships navigated the treacherous terrain with practiced precision, using the massive rocks for cover. "Keep them on their toes, Sarah," Davis instructed, gripping the armrests of his chair. The Resolute wove through the asteroids, enemy fire ricocheting off the rocks. "Incoming fighters, 12 o'clock, Mitchell called out. Davis watched as the enemy ships approached, their formation tightening. "Deploy countermeasures," Davis ordered. Explosions lit up the void as decoys and flares disoriented the enemy. The human ships seized the moment, launching a coordinated counterattack. On the viewscreen, Davis saw the enemy flagship maneuvering to flank them. "Theron, take your ships and cut them off. We'll handle the rest." Theron's voice crackled with newfound respect. "Understood, Captain. Good luck." The battle reached its crescendo as the coalition forces converged on the enemy flagship. The asteroids provided cover, but also posed a deadly risk. Every maneuver was a calculated risk, every shot a gamble. "Captain, shields at critical," Mitchell warned, her voice tense. "We can't hold back now," Davis replied. "All power to forward batteries. Focus fire on the flagship." The Resolute surged forward, weapons blazing. The enemy flagship loomed ahead, its hull bristling with weaponry. Davis's heart pounded as they closed the distance. "Brace for impact," he shouted as the Resolute unleashed a torrent of firepower. The enemy flagship shuddered under the assault, its shields flickering and failing. A deafening explosion rocked the ship as the enemy flagship disintegrated, debris scattering through the asteroid field. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the Resolute, the crew's relief palpable. "We did it," Mitchell said, her voice filled with awe. Davis allowed himself a rare smile. "It's not over yet. We need to secure the area and make sure there are no more surprises." As the coalition forces mopped up the remaining enemy ships, the realization of their victory began to sink in. They had turned the tide, proving their resilience and tactical brilliance. Davis looked out at the field of debris, knowing that this battle was just one of many to come. But for now they had won, and that was enough. "Captain, enemy reinforcements are arriving," Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell reported, her voice carrying a mix of urgency and determination. The bridge of the Resolute buzzed with activity, the tension palpable. Captain Lockie Davis scanned the tactical display, noting the new wave of enemy ships emerging from the darkness. They had won the initial battle, but the war was far from over. "All hands, prepare for immediate action," he commanded, his voice unwavering. As the enemy ships closed in, Davis knew they needed a decisive move to secure their hard-fought victory. "Commander Theron," he said, activating the comms. "We need to draw their fire and counterattack with everything we've got." Theron's face appeared on the viewscreen, a steely resolve in his eyes. "Agreed, Captain. We'll coordinate our firepower. Let's show them what we're capable of." The enemy fleet advanced, their formations tight and disciplined. Davis's mind raced, formulating a plan. Lieutenant Mitchell, ready all weapon systems. We're going to hit them hard and fast. Aye, Captain, Mitchell replied, her fingers deftly adjusting the controls. The Resolute thrummed with power, its engines roaring as they prepared for the assault. All units, target the lead ship and fire on my mark, Davis ordered. The seconds stretched into an eternity as the enemy fleet drew nearer, their weapons blazing. Now, Davis shouted. The Resolute unleashed a torrent of firepower, joined by Theron's fleet. The combined barrage tore through the enemy ranks, explosions lighting up the void. The lead ship disintegrated, its debris scattering like confetti. Direct hit. Their formation is breaking, Mitchell exclaimed, a triumphant edge to her voice. Davis allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. Press the attack. Don't let them regroup. The human and alien ships surged forward, their unity and coordination a stark contrast to the enemy's disarray. The Resolute dodged and weaved through the chaos, its weapons firing with deadly precision. Captain, we're taking heavy fire on the starboard side, a crew member reported. Divert power to the shields and keep firing, Davis replied, his focus unyielding. Every decision, every order was a step closer to victory. As the battle raged on, the enemy fleet began to falter, their numbers dwindling under the relentless assault. Davis watched as the remaining ships turned to flee, their resolve shattered. Commander Theron, pursue and neutralize any stragglers. We can't afford to let them regroup, Davis said, his voice firm. Understood, Captain. We'll ensure they don't escape, Theron responded, his respect for Davis evident in his tone. With the enemy in full retreat, Davis turned his attention to the aftermath. Lieutenant Mitchell, status report. Minimal damage to our systems, Captain. We held up well, she replied, a note of pride in her voice. Davis nodded, the weight of the battle lifting slightly. Good work, everyone. This was a victory hard-earned. As the coalition forces regrouped and began the task of securing the area, the bridge of the Resolute buzzed with a sense of achievement. The crew's exhaustion was tempered by their triumph. Captain Davis, Theron's voice came through the comms. I must admit, your strategies were impressive. You have my respect. Thank you, Commander. It was a team effort, Davis replied, the mutual respect between them solidifying their alliance. The spaceport, now secure, stood as a testament to their resilience and cooperation. Davis looked out at the stars, the embers of the battle fading into the distance. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, their unity and determination shining through. We did it, Mitchell said quietly, standing beside Davis. We did, Davis agreed, a rare smile crossing his face. But this is just the beginning. There's still a long fight ahead. As the Resolute and her crew prepared for the next challenge, they carried with them the knowledge that they could overcome any obstacle. They had proven their strength, their resolve, and their place in the galaxy.